Moment of truth. Woo! Welcome back to the HellUvaWillys build. Today's really exciting because I have the hood hinge figured out, and it's time to get that swinging. But first, we're going to have to go through, set up our front end mounts, fully adjustable setup, and then we can start figuring out how to get this thing to swing in reverse or forward. I don't know. I'm Zach Leber. This is the Lebratory. Let's get to work.
To get started, I uploaded a couple files into the computer, and we're cutting a couple pieces off of the plasma table using 1/4-inch steel to make this hinge. I'm just going to go through, clean it up, make sure everything is nice and spotless so we can weld to it really nicely when we get back to the house. That magnet's awesome, by the way. We're going to use the press brake to start bending our hinge. I did have a couple issues with fitment on this part, but it was nothing that we couldn't figure out later.
Now we want to make sure it's up high enough to miss our first bolt. Top here. Now that we have the front end fully bolted in, we want to take and start working on our front hinge for the hood. I have a piece of 3/4-inch DOM, and I split that into 3 sections. The outside are 1.5 inches on both sides, and then the inside is 3 inches. What that's going to do is get solid welded on the 2 outside pieces, and then the inside piece here is going to get welded to this bottom flange that we're going to cut off after we weld in the top. It'll keep everything in line. We'll use that bottom flange as our portion that's going to get locked to the body, and the outsides are going to be hooked to the hood. So hopefully we can get this thing to flip forward like we want. Maybe. And make this kind of the locker, so that way when this comes down it should stop it, and then we can come back and grind that plate off if we need it to go any farther. So I think honestly I don't want it to do a 90-degree turn, I want to do about 45. So I'm going to cut into here little notches so it clears the original hinge part first, and then we're going to set it in so that way when we go up, that'll set our 45-degree angle. It's perfect. Before we can start actually installing our little hinge guy here, which I think is going to work really well, I need to cut a section of this nose out right here so this guy can fit down in and swoop past it. We're going to take and come in about a 1/2 inch from our guideline all the way around. It's just going to be a rough cut. It's nothing to worry about. It's not going to be the final product. And get that popped out. We'll set the hood on, kind of get an idea where this needs to go, figure out a crossbar between those mounts that we made for the sides of the fenders down to the chassis. And we're going to get a crossbar in, tack weld this guy to it, and then figure out a way to hook the hood to this part of the hinge. Sorry, this thing's kind of heavy. So first, let's cut it, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, this is a very long process. It might work. We have our hinge pretty much set up. I am going to put a placeholder in across here just so I can kind of get a good idea where to start with this like mounting situation on it. But yeah, this will end up having to get cut down. We'll make it a bolt in. It won't be welded in, but I am going to tack it in for now just because this is a really hard area to get into, and I want to make sure this thing works before I get too crazy into it. Our battery decided to take a vacation. Anyways, I did get the hinge somewhat in. We have about a 45-degree swing right now. We are going to go up to about a 70 because I can already tell it's not going to be enough to really be able to access the motor. I am going to set the hood down now and get some markings where everything needs to sit. And then we're going to grind the inside of the hood. And we're going to put a bar from here out to the outsides of the hood. This is all like very rudimentary fit, like I don't think that's the word I want to use. I guess the best way to put this is I'm kind of throwing this together right now so I can get measurements on everything in the way it needs to be compared to the way it is right now. Because this is the first time I've done this like this. It might work. It also might not. Let's keep going. I realized after I put the hood on that I probably should just put a piece of steel across here and mark straights from each side of that hinge and then mark the hood, and I'll actually know where it needs to go. I'll be able to make this a lot simpler on myself. So we're going to do that. I'm tired of lifting this thing off. Fucking ass up. Moment of truth. Woo! That was so much work. Somehow, we've got it working. This hood was a lot. I am fried. I bet you I have 25, 30 hours in this thing already. It's been a lot of work, but it is moving. It's not perfect, and we still have a lot of work to do. I do need to make a bracket, an actual bracket, not a wooden one, for the inside of the hood, one that'll brace here and in the back, and then it'll lock it into the cowl. I have to get a actual bracing piece in here for the hinge because it's going to let it move around. We want to make sure that it's in there nice and stable. I also have to clean the hinge up itself and make another piece to bolt into that so that way it doesn't move around. I did have to split the hinge, move it in closer just to make sure everything worked correctly. I lost a lot of room in there. It's hard to get up in there. There are a lot of little things that I've got to figure out, but we're going to consider this a win. We went through and I showed you how I brace the front end and make it so it's adjustable. So basically we started off by getting the front end mounted. We mounted it in the back and we mounted it in the front here. This episode we showed you how I was able to mount the front and make it adjustable, so if it ends up off center we can move it left, right, up, down on one side or the other and kind of just get it so it looks correct to the eye. Got that bolted in and tacked in. Then we went through and we worked on the hood, obviously. On the next episode, I think we'll dial in some more stuff with the hood. We are going to do an update on just the overall construction of the car. I think it's a good, we're getting to 15, episode 15, episode 16. I think this is 15. For episode 16, I want to have kind of a sit down and just kind of chat with you guys about where I'm at, what I'm doing, and where things are going. This took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I'm still working on the dash. Like, there's a couple things that I'm just like really hitting like walls with. I was really hoping that by the end of this year I would have this car running. It's looking like we're going to push it out another couple weeks at least, because it's going to take me a while to get that figured out. So, I mean, I need to be honest with myself and be honest with you guys. It's just taking a lot longer. But I want to dial this thing in perfectly. I want it nice, and I just really want to present a really nice product to somebody. But for tonight, it's a win. I'm really excited. This looks really cool. It works decently because, like I said, it's just kind of like a crude start to this whole system. But, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Well, you can, but not for the first hit. Like, I just designed this hinge in the last couple of months and finally got it to come to fruition. I guess that's the word that we're going to use. But I think that's going to be all for tonight. I do got another video coming out for you guys on how I'm making some tooling for our 41 Willys hinges to make things faster, and just to try and speed stuff up a little bit more. That's just kind of seems like what my job is at this point, is just constantly trying to figure the fastest and best way to get something done. I think with all that being said, I'm going to cut it there. I'm tired. This thing is really taking it out of me. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm Zach Leber. This is Lebratory. And until next time, go build something. See you guys. And able to, ow, I got something in my eye. So basically we started off by